Good evening. Welcome again to the 2012fad.com. I will be your host for this evening, and my name is Charlie Bluehawk. Last night, we talked about water and electricity equals life, and how life is continually being created all around us every single day. Here on our own little world and out there in the stars, pretty much on every planet, every object, except the sun. Well, even that's a different story. But life is the constant of the universe because the universe is electrical. You're electrical. I'm electrical. And we're 97% water, you and me, and about 3% chemicals, mostly carbon. And we're electricity. So where you got electricity, you got water, you got carbon, it's a plant, whatever's lying around. You got life, because that's how life springs into existence when you combine the three of them together. And again, it's a simple experiment you can do at home. We talked about it in our last little chat. It'll cost you not much. And it's amazing to see life just begin, just to spring up nothing, or what we think of as nothing. And so tonight I thought we might chat about money is no longer the goal. Since life doesn't seem to be the goal either. Since we have been talking about how simple life is to create, literally from nothing, and how easily our masters want to rob us of life. And not simply to rob us of life, but to hurt us, to see us suffer, because killing us ends their pleasure. They need to see the joy of us hurting. They need to destroy our very essence of who we are, what we are. And why would anybody want to do that? For the sheer pleasure of it. This is, as always, as we talk about, this is why we can't reason with our masters. We can't talk to them. We cannot understand them. We cannot find a meeting of the minds with them. All they want to do is hurt us. That's it. That's pretty simple. They want to hurt us. You can't deal with somebody whose only agenda is to hurt you. We chatted a few episodes back about the consolidation of power and how our masters are dumbing down their own corporations by hiring morons and idiots and simpletons to run them, and then allowing morons and idiots and simpletons to do what they do best: screw everything up, run everything into the ground, all the while thinking that they're geniuses. It makes no sense unless, of course, you see it from the master's point of view, which we're always trying to do here. Just because you would not do something, you would say to yourself, well, I wouldn't do that, therefore no one else would. And that's where you're wrong. Our masters don't think like we do. They don't reason like we do. They literally live in a different world. Literally. They see the world as an opportunity to feed on other people's misery. And that's what they want. They want you and I to be in pain, because that gives them tremendous joy. Right there, no common ground. And that's their greatest power over us. Well, I wouldn't do that, therefore no one else would. And that's where you're wrong. So we see profits fall in these major international corporations because these morons who are now in charge of these major corporations, you see the profits falling, so you panic. You borrowed money to buy these very expensive shares in these corporations. You borrowed money, and they call it buying on margin. You were planning for your long-term financial future. You were planning. You were trying to do the right thing. But you panic. And then you sell these shares that you still owe money on, and you sell them at a loss because you panicked. So not only now do you no longer have these very expensive shares whose prices have been driven down, you sold them in a panic, and you got virtually nothing for them. And you still owe money on them for your original purchase. So then what happens? Those same corporations buy back those very expensive shares of yours for next to nothing. So now they have complete control of your corporations, of their corporations. And they've made a profit off of you 3 times. They made a profit off of you when you bought their overpriced stock. They made a profit on you when you sold that overpriced stock for next to nothing because you panicked. And they profit again from you because you bought on margin, which means you borrowed money from the corporation to buy their own shares from them. And you're going to be paying that debt off for a very long time. So again, the first time you bought overpriced shares thinking you were securing your financial future. Second, you panicked when they drove the prices down because they're destroying their corporations in the market. You sold the shares back for next to nothing. The corporation paid you pennies on the dollar by buying back their own shares. The third time they made profit off of you, you borrowed money to buy the shares in the first place. And you still owe that money even though you no longer have the shares. So you're paying back that money plus interest. And I'm guessing the interest rate is huge. And so why would the masters, our masters, want to drive down the prices of their own corporations, basically drive their companies into the dirt? Don't they want to make money? Wouldn't it make more sense, at least to us, to hire experienced intelligence professional people with experience to run their corporations? It's a long-term investment. It would be the intelligent thing to do. Intelligent, experienced people would make the company grow and prosper, and therefore there'd be more money in the economy. The local grocer would make more money. The local tailor would make more money. You would make more money. We'd be able to buy houses. We'd be able to pay those houses off. We could send our children to college. Wouldn't that make more sense? No, actually, it doesn't make any sense at all if you're a master. And this is why. The top 1,000 international corporations are all in the international drug business. Now, the drug business was originally created here in the United States by old George Bush, Magog to his friends, and to the Committee of 300, the Olympians. Now, old George Bush actually created, basically, today's CIA. He created out of what used to be called the OSS, which back then was actually a real spy agency. But he changed it, and he created the CIA. CIA is basically a duplicate of the Catholic Jesuit order, which is probably the oldest spy agency in our civilization. The Jesuits have been spying on people, ruining civilizations, murdering people, assassinating them for thousands and thousands of years. And the CIA is modeled on the Jesuit order. Now, old George Bush, I think he was George IV, if you're counting our British rulers, he created something called Air America. And the brand new CIA set up to be running drugs from Asia into the United States, because the CIA wanted to do things and they wanted to have their own income. The last time I checked, I think that was years ago, the CIA had like 2,600 front companies that generated them money. So when they wanted to run what they call a black op, there was no government oversight. They just did it, got their own funding. Today, the CIA actually has its own army. It's actually got military bases all over the world that look like U.S. Army, regular Army guys, regular military. They got the uniforms, they got the planes, they got the weapons, they got everything that makes them look like regular U.S. military. But they are, in fact, completely CIA run and operated, completely outside the scope of the U.S. government. So there's no civilian oversight of any of this at all. So anyway, like I said, the original CIA needed that drug money that they were funneling in from Asia into the United States to fund all their black ops, their black operations. And of course, none of those operations have any government overview at all. They fund themselves. So no government control is needed. And as the years passed, the CIA realized that having the major corporations in business with them meant sharing a percentage of the drug trade. And so today, the top 1,000 corporations make their real money in dealing drugs. Their original businesses, whether they make cars, computers, cosmetics, electronics, phones, now those companies that we're used to looking at are just cover. They're just what they call cover companies, cover agencies. It's just a front to hide their real business. It's just for show, for our benefit. While the real business of making money is in the back room, is in drugs. And the international banks are holding all of this drug money. They're working hand in glove with the corporation. And the truth is there's so much money in the world, so much just pure cash. Cash is everywhere. In the United States, there's so much cash. There's so much profit just sitting around. They don't know what to do with it. And so these international banks are able to loan out their drug money and turn around, clean it so it's untraceable, and loan it out and make more money. I mean, you can get drug money out of the Caribbean for like 2%, 3% loans for hundreds of millions of dollars. The United States, as I say, is just rolling in cash. There's so much cash, they just don't know what to do with it all. And so now the CIA, the top 1,000 corporations, and the bankers have control of the Western world through drug money because we're stupid enough to buy the drugs, just like we're stupid enough to shop at Walmart. We basically fund our own destruction because we're stupid. The only thing that's lucky for us is that the banks, the CIA, the corporations are all constantly at each other's throats. They're all terrified of each other, thankfully. But our master's goal, as always, is the control of the herds. Control the herd, control the cattle. That would, of course, be you and me. And so how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to deprive us of our jobs. Even though there's trillions of dollars just sitting around doing nothing, we don't have any of it. It's ours, but we don't know it. You deprive us of our homes. You take away everything that means anything to us, our pets, our furniture, our cars. You leave us in the dirt, begging for pennies. We're in pain. And our masters are just so happy for that. The greater our pain, the greater our master's joy. They literally feed on our misery, our despair, our sorrow, our loneliness, and our pain delights them. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it in them. I've seen it in the mandarins. I've seen it in their servants, and I've seen it in their servants' servants. They just, it's ecstasy to them, our pain. And so by destroying their own corporations, they regain control of them and hurt us one more time. By depriving us of our jobs, I mean, I've been in international IT for 25 years now, corporate consulting. Last time I checked was about 4 years ago, but 4 years ago, there were only 400 of us in the entire world who had the level of expertise and knowledge and experience that I do. And those numbers were dropping 4 years ago because we can't find work, because we know too much. We can actually make a positive difference. And so we can't have jobs. They deprive us of who we are, or who we thought we were. Me, I was always my job, but now, thanks to the masters, now I'm just me. I finally realized I'm not my job. And that's actually really a good thing, really. But I've watched over the last 4 years as our masters have moved to destroy anyone with a brain, anybody with experience, anybody who actually could get the job done. And this is happening everywhere in the Western world. Now, I subscribe to job boards all over the world on the internet. Of course, not all of them, but a sampling. It can't be 2%. It's a couple. It's enough that I can actually see trends very closely for the last 4 years since I fled the States in 2007 for the hideous fantasy world that they told me New Zealand was. And these trends now are very, very blatant, and there's no attempt at all to hide anything anymore. Our masters are so comfortable with the fact that they can do anything to us, and we just take it. And I'm seeing on these job boards, experienced professional people turned out, locked out, driven out of their jobs, out of their professions. And they're all puzzled. They're all mystified by what's being done to them. God knows I was a couple of years ago. I mean, the 3 years I spent in New Zealand, I spent 6 months of those 3 years in this little dark room crying like a little child. I had no idea what was going on. None at all. But for some reason, I'm always in the future, so what I was experiencing then, these folks are now experiencing. Because to them now and to me then, it was senseless. What future does the world have if the people with the experience, the people with the knowledge, the people who know how to get the job done are ignored and are forgotten? I mean, what future do we have when knowledge is thrown away? I mean, how can you have a future where the leaders, the teachers, the thinkers, the dreamers, the doers are just tossed in the trash. You have the world of the masters. You have a world of cattle. For all of us here at the 2012fad.com, this is Charlie Bluehawk, and I'm wishing you a really good day. And I'm reminding you, please, keep a good thought. The 2012 Fad is brought to you by Coffee and Blood, Love Letters Between the Dead, a series of 5 erotica horror novels about a fallen angel finding his way back to regain his own soul, and how the CIA war against the human race, their black magic, captures and traps him in the body of a mind-controlled slave designed to hunt down and to kill their god, their Satan.